Ashe, Ashe, Funga Alafia, Ashe, Ashe, Cabo Elegba, Ashe, Ashe, Cabo Elegba, Ashe, Ashe.
angua, 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 hey hey angua, hey hey angua, hey hey angua, hey hey angua, 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 hey hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, 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 hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, hey angua, angua, angua. Make one oh show no hey no hey no hey ya hey ya hey ya hey ya hey hey ya make take it one hey oh show no hey no hey no hey make take it one hey oh show no hey no hey no hey ya hey ya hey ya hey ya hey ya make take it one hey oh show no hey no hey no hey make take it one hey oh show no hey no hey no hey ya hey ya hey ya hey ya hey hey ya. Ona, may a most great peace manifest itself in our hearts, and may we trace our roots to the tree of peace. Aho matakuyasa. Kadishte.
The Cart. Gathered here together on this special day, we remember our first arrival after the forest had welcomed the warmth of the sun and the meadow had tasted the kiss of dew. Apprehensive, disturbed, frightened, uncertain, we had yet to process where we were or where we were going. Resting patiently by the side of the trail, in the welcome shade of a towering oak, the hand-drawn funeral cart silently waits on this special day, just as it once waited for each of us on our own unique special days, when it calmed our distress with its welcoming serenity. Whether we arrived in pine coffins, baskets, simple shrouds, cardboard caskets, adorned or not, the wooden cart welcomed each of us with care, releasing us of visions once tormenting, reminding us of memories once treasured, promising us a future of a forever home of peace.
Hello everybody, welcome to Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery's 10th annual memorial celebration. My name is Freddie Johnson. I have the privilege of being the executive director of Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery. And on behalf of our board of directors and staff, I would like to extend our deep appreciation for your interest, your support, and participation in not only today's memorial event, but just in general for all that you do for Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery. In 2007, my friend Larry Schwanda shared with me that there was actually something called a conservation burial ground, and that something like that even existed. After talking further with Larry about the possibilities of having such a thing here in our community, we met with Robert Hutchinson, we call him Hutch, who at the time was the executive director of Alachua Conservation Trust. We eventually together, Larry, Hutch, and I, built a strong board of directors, very enthusiastic and dedicated, and then we formed a nonprofit organization called Conservation Burial, Inc. We planned and we researched for over 2 years when a friend and environmentalist, Dr. Cathy Cantwell, came to us to share that she was dying soon and that she was very much counting on being the first person buried at Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery. So we quickly became operational after hearing what she had to say. And indeed, Dr. Cathy Cantwell was the first person buried at Prairie Creek. Now, 10 years later, there are over 600 burials in Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery and over 1,000 folks that have done their planning, filled out burial preference forms for their eventual burial at Prairie Creek. And the partnership of Conservation Burial, Inc. and Alachua Conservation Trust is now an internationally noted example of an innovative and courageous model for burial, well, for conservation land, but also for sustainable burial practices and building community. Prairie Creek's Conservation Cemetery's mission to provide a natural burial choice that conserves land and reunites people with the earth is being accomplished in a very, in a way that serves a broad and diverse group of people. The choice of conservation burial is growing. It's growing fast, particularly here, and along with it comes all of the benefits with that growth for people, for land conservation, and for the planet. You, our supporters and community, have made a huge difference by recognizing that the more families that can afford to make the choice of conservation burial, then it's really better for everybody, the planet and all the people, because of that choice. So in the light of this, the Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery has never raised their body burial fees ever. And the $2,000 fee is the same as it was 10 years ago. This accomplishment illustrates the power of a community that realizes and embraces the premium value of our mission. Every day we are so grateful for our working partnership with Alachua Conservation Trust. The PCC Board of Directors and staff have and continue to serve the Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery mission as we still discover even more benefits as we go. The Prairie Creek Conservation volunteers, amazing volunteers, they are a profound story in and of themselves. They are consistently and constantly providing selfless service with grave digging, burial teams, land management, and much more. The memorial celebration itself, this celebration, and previous ones, can only happen because of the work and talents of kind and gracious volunteers. So in closing, please know fully and completely how all of us at Prairie Creek are so honored to be involved in this work and celebrate what you as community have, through your cooperation and sharing and support, confirmed for all of us to be a most sacred and valued mission. Thank you.
The gathering, gently removed from vans or trucks or hearses, laid reverently on the funeral cart. We waited patiently for the gathering of mourners, family, friends, acquaintances. Sometimes among them were stately sandhill cranes, welcoming us with kind promises that all would be all right. We needed such assurance. We left so much undone, unfinished, unresolved, unfulfilled. Would those we left behind condemn our leaving, or would they appreciate our departures? Would they recall our dreams and aspirations? Would they reminisce about sweet words and considerate deeds? Arriving from various places, the guests approached one another apprehensively. Some knew everyone, some knew some knew none. For the moment was more urgent. What should one say? How should one say it? To whom, in those precious moments, we were forgotten and left in peace.
This song was written by our friend Suzanne Marie Grooms, who was born and raised in Florida for many years. It's called Banks of the Swanee. When I was a little girl, no bigger than a wagon spoke, Daddy moved our family to the town they call Live Oak. I didn't have to ask where it got its name. I was raised underneath the live oak tree. Growing up in Swanee County was the greatest life I knew. Daddy'd take me walking on Sunday afternoon. There were no secrets we couldn't share, no blues we couldn't lose. Walking on the banks of the Swanee, we walked the river banks of the Swanee River, of the Swanee River, river that I call home, river that I call home. So I was raised a country girl, then I moved away to the bright lights of the city, Gainesville, where I still live today. But when those bright lights get me down in peace, I want to find, I'll go back to the river in the mind. Walk the river banks of the Swanee River, of the Swanee River, river that I call home, river that I call home. I talked to Dad the other day on the telephone. He said, you've been gone so long, girl, we miss you back home. There's catfish frying in the pan and cornbread in the oven. Your mama said your place if you'll come home. We can walk the river banks of the Swanee River, of the Swanee River, river that I call home, river that I call home. Now when my life is over and I am bound away to the banks of the Jordan River, to St. Peter I'm gonna sail. I appreciate your offer. Now please don't get me wrong, but the Jordan River, it's not my eternal throne. There's a place that I call heaven where my mom and dad have gone. If it's all right with you, I'd like to go home and walk the river banks of the Swanee River, of the Swanee River, river that I call home, river that I call home. Please let me walk the river banks of the Swanee River, of the Swanee River, river that I call home, river that I call home.
The procession. We were jolted from our once quiet repose as the cart was pulled to the loose gravel trail. Comforting, crunching cacophonies carried us and led our mourners to our final homes. Some walked in step to the subtle, soothing rhythms of the cart's wheels. Others created music with their clicks and clacks. Walking behind the hand-drawn funeral cart, each mourner followed slowly, respectfully, unsure of the destination, but comforted by a diverse group of people, known and unknown, moving in the same direction to the same place, as if tranquilized by a soothing, sonorous symphony. When the cart turned from the trail, the wheels whispered, and the pace slowed, as the processing mourners recognized the end of the trek was at hand, for chairs had been arranged around a great hole in the earth, and the cart came to a standstill. Life goes on, and on, and on, and on, and on, until it stops.
Hello to the family and friends and community around Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery. I am so excited that I get to speak with you today about one of my favorite places and favorite cemeteries in the world. And I'm sorry that I can't be there in person and that none of you can be there in person, but hopefully that reality will change for us very soon. My name is Caitlin Doughty. I am a mortician and an advocate for exactly what Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery does for not only your community, but for the world. The first time that I visited Prairie Creek, I was able to not only speak, but spend the night there and really spend time in and around the cemetery. I remember when Freddie actually gave me the keys to the golf cart and I got to drive around the property by myself, and I was just so enchanted by the area and the wetlands and the conservation efforts and what the community had done to bring beauty and regeneration and remembrance to this place. I know that you have many different reasons to be connected to Prairie Creek. Maybe you have a loved one there, or maybe you work as a volunteer. But I just want to thank you for the choice that you made to be involved in green burial and conservation burial, because it's going to make a massive impact on the way that we look at the world. I wanted to do a very short reading for you from Life Everlasting, The Animal Way of Death. The biologist who wrote this book has a beautiful piece of large land in Maine, and a friend of his, an ecologist, wrote to him and said, "Hey, can I just be naturally buried on your property?" Here's what the letter went like. "Like any good ecologist, I regard death as changing into other kinds of life. Death is, among other things, also a wild celebration of renewal, with our substance hosting the party. In the wild, animals lie where they die, thus placing them into the scavenger loop. The upshot is that the highly concentrated animal nutrients get spread over the land by the exodus of flies, beetles, etc. Burial, on the other hand, seals you in a hole. To deprive the natural world of human nutrient, given a population of 6.5 billion, is to starve the earth, which is the consequence of casket burial, an internment. Cremation is not an option given the buildup of greenhouse gases, and considering the amount of fuel it takes for the 3-hour process of burning a body. Anyway, the upshot is that one of the options is burial on private property." And then he goes on to ask if he can be buried in his private land in Maine. And we don't have to just ask if we can be buried, go begging by letter to ask if we can be buried on a beautiful natural property, because and only because we have places like Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery. With the theme of remembrance, I'm asking you to not only remember the person that may have died in your life, but also remembering that the American funeral industry is not always conducive to what Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery represents. And that's why we have to keep fighting, and why we're so lucky to have the people in and around Prairie Creek to keep this beautiful, natural place going. I'm thinking of you today, and I hope that you're all taking care of yourselves. Thank you.
The ceremony. We were carefully lifted from the cart and lowered to rest on planks placed over our graves, great openings in the earth calling us home. Graveside ceremonies were as different as the people who planned them. Some had no words, only tears or smiles or hugs shared among a few who knew too much, but not enough to express their emotions. Many services included reflections by our wives or husbands, mothers or fathers, our sons and daughters, grandsons and granddaughters, our aunts and uncles and cousins times removed. Some shared special, sometimes once secret, now known, reminiscences of words or deeds, gifts forever treasured. Among the most poignant testimonials were those delivered by loving lifetime friends who recalled childhood pranks and innocent times, or colleagues who shared dreams and aspirations, or fellow members of civic clubs and groups who reminded everyone of the impact of one good life. This is my dulcimer version of an old spiritual, Wayfaring Stranger. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe. There is no sickness, toil, nor danger in that place to which I go. I'm going there, just like my mother. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm just going back to stardust. I'm just going back to home. Every atom in our bodies was birthed inside some blazing star. I have no need for ancient stories to feel how wondrous we are. I'm going there, just like my father. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm just a-going back to stardust. I'm just a-going back to home. And when our friends, they gather round us for to pay their last respect, how brief this dance, it will astound us. May we all leave without regret. And when we go and leave the rest here in their grief, some peace to find, may we all know we've done our best here to leave a better world behind, to leave a better world behind. We're all just poor wayfaring strangers. The burial. After everyone had said what would be said, we were lifted above our graves just enough so the planks on which we paused could be removed, and we could then be lowered into our homes, laid at the bottom of the holes in the earth. We are not alone, but connected to all who would find peace. The earth shroud was lifted from the mounds of earth beside our graves, revealing the earth removed, now to be returned by hand, spade, and shovel. The first loose sprinkles of dirt fell upon us from gentle, loving hands, touching us through earth in fond farewell, an endeavor to bring peace to us and them. As a mother's sweet song brings welcome solace for a sad, frightened child seeking forgiveness, so the thuds of earth shoveled first slowly, then rapidly upon us, fill the silence which surrounds us with the rhythms, reuniting us with the warmth of joy and peace and love of our Mother Earth.
Hi, I'm Cindy Lasley, and I have the honor and privilege to get to talk to you about why Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery is so special. Peaceful and at peace are the words that come to mind when I'm out here in the cemetery. Would you mind giving the folks a quick glimpse of what I'm able to see? Isn't it wonderful? It gives me comfort to know that this rich example of North Central Florida ecosystem is going to be protected forever by volunteers and staff that truly care about nature and people as well. I believe that the people that are buried out here are at peace. It's just so calming and wonderful that they've been returned to the earth that has fed them and allowed them to thrive. You know, the graves are dug by hand by the volunteers and the staff. And I have to tell you that everyone takes great care in the jobs that they have here. All of the natural burial principles are followed. So that means that no toxins are introduced into the earth, either through chemicals or materials. I just love that nature and people work together. It's a synergy that just makes sense. I know that families are encouraged and welcome to be as involved with the whole ceremony and preparation, because my daughter Kelly, our daughter Kelly, is buried right here. She died in January 2018, and she had a short but incredible life. If you look, you'll notice there's not really a mound here. You can see there's a brass marker, and the grasses may look a little healthier than around it. But isn't that what it's about? That she should be embraced by the earth? So, when we had to make decisions for Kelly, it was actually easier that Kelly had told us that her burial wishes, which was to be buried out here in the cemetery. And that made it so much easier. And it was so personal, as all the burials are here, that her shroud was hand-painted by artists who knew and loved her. And the Amish burial cart was just perfect as it carried her to her final resting place. I will always find comfort and joy and cherish the memories of being with family and friends as we dug her grave. We shared memories of being together, we shared tears, and we shared smiles and laughs, and that was so comforting to all of us. that's something that you can do here that wouldn't be possible other places. The volunteers were so kind, and they so mindfully attended their task to make sure everything was perfect. It was a very communal experience that I will never forget. The personal choices are honored here, and I think that's really important when you're dealing with loved ones. If you notice, the grasses are healthier. She seems to be at peace, and that is what it's about. Embraced by the earth that took care of her for so long. You know, it's funny, when we think of cemeteries, we think of death. And well, I guess it's usual, but not here. We are surrounded by life. That when we come out to visit or walk the trails, we see so many varieties of birds and animals and snakes. Not too thrilled about the snakes, but I understand they have a bigger picture, so okay. When I'm in town and I hear and see the sandhill cranes flying over, that's as close as I can get. Out here, we've actually been with them. The trees and the grasses and the flowers surrounding us are beautiful. Thank you, Prairie Creek Conservation Cemetery, for helping to fulfill Kelly's last wish. You know, this is a great place to feel peaceful and at peace.
The departure. Mounds of earth crowned our graves, and pine straw blankets both concealed and protected them from damage. Loved ones placed grave markers identifying the addresses of our new homes, so future visitors may know where to sit and rest a while. Placed also were mementos that too would return to the earth. Markers and mementos arranged and blossom strewn, our graves became the focus of attention as difficult conversations both continued and commenced. To say what needed to be said, guests averted their gazes and blinked back tears, hoping to phrase thoughts and feelings without unintended stress. Promising to stay in touch, guests shared numbers as tight hugs were given and kind kisses bestowed. Farewells were shared among friends both old and new. Departing proved difficult once peace was found. Among the grasses and the trees and flowers, we will remind our loved ones of these days, and they will know peace.
Welcome to the 10th Annual Prairie Creek Cemetery Memorial Celebration. I'm Elaine Mann, and this is my son, Sam. In 2017, Shelley Wilson of the United Church of Gainesville spoke, and she talked about how the essence of someone's spirit is distilled in memory through the grieving process, and also about how important remembering was to the process of healing. I have many friends buried here in the cemetery, and it's become a sacred place to me. Well, this talk struck home with me because I had just lost a dear friend and mentor, Penny Nichols, who had sung Graveside with me a year before. And this song, Let Go My Heart, came out of it. It's placed in Prairie Creek Cemetery and written from the perspective of the departed. Thank you for listening. Come take a walk with me the sea of grass, prairie wind blowing past, waves on a golden shore, break where your heart is moored. Let go my heart and let me fly free through your memory. Let go my heart, watch the sky open wide. Sometimes it's hard to be alone with your memories. Open the gate of tears, sorrow is welcome here. Here in this school of earth, seeds of hope and rebirth. To us the world life brings, and she reclaims everything. Let go my heart and let me fly free through your memory. Let go my heart, watch the sky open wide. Soaring aspire to the altitudes, drawing your strength from life's storms. Higher we'll rise, higher till I am in pure spirit reborn. Distilled in memory, essence of you and me. I feel you with me now, dreaming the world somehow. Let go my heart, it's time to rise. Life will grow back for you. Let go my heart, watch the sky open wide. Let go my heart and let me fly free from your memory. Let go my heart, watch the sky open wide.
Peace. The grass sighs with the caresses of the wind. The tall pines sway their branches to the rhythms of the wind, waiting for an invitation to finally leave their roots and join the dance. The bees kiss one blossom after another. The butterflies share their secrets throughout the cemetery. Squirrels playfully challenge one another for treasure as raccoons and possums wander. Bluebirds, woodpeckers, hummingbirds, and turkeys sing with tuowees, taps, hums, chirps, and gobbles, sending alarms, seeking food, sharing gossip. Overall, the bald eagles sit aloof, watching and waiting. In the cemetery, we are not alone. As the funeral cart carries memories, so do the winds, the grasses, the trees, the birds, the deer, the bees, the ants, the butterflies. As we and our memories are now joined with the earth, wherever you are, we are. Be at peace, always.